Previously, when talking about fractals, I made this little illustration in Photoshop, and it's not great, but it gets the idea across. Now, I had a few issues with this that we'll see pretty clearly. So I started with 5, and I said go back to about halfway, and then do 4, and then go to halfway, and then do 3, and then go to halfway, and then do 2. But the issue is half of 4 is 2, so this is going to connect there. And then this is going to do 1, which this is 3, so there should be a little bit of a gap there, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I really like the way that's going to look. But regardless, it's still a fractal, I suppose, and we can go ahead and create it. So I guess I'll leave this over here on the right as sort of my example of what it should look like-ish. Obviously, it's a little off since I don't have this down right, but you know, you get the idea. And so I'll open PyCharm. And I'm just going to make a new Python file, and we'll call it Fractal, since that's what we're making, even if it's a super simple one. Alright, and now we write it. So I'm going to move this over a little bit. I want to be able to see more or less what I made. This doesn't need to be so big. There we go. Yeah. Alright, so first let's import, of course, the turtle module. Let's, I guess, use some good form here and put some comments in. Super basic fractal by me. And this will be import modules. This will be, actually, you know what? I'm just going to call this setup document because I don't need to spell every single thing out. So setup or setup program, whatever, something like that. And this can have the load window, which is equal to turtle dot screen. And now we can have setup turtle object, and we'll call my turtle Frank. Frank equals turtle dot pin. And Frank will make the color equal to blue. And I really don't care about the shape. I'm not going to worry about switching the shape to turtle or circle or whatever. I'll just leave it the default arrow. I do want to adjust the width just so it's easier to see. But, you know, of course, that's your preference. And, yeah, so turtle object is basically set up. Now, if we look at my example, I have it starting way over here, not right in the middle. So to do that, I'm going to need to add a go-to command. So frank.goto, I'm going to do -300 and -200. The middle of the screen is like 0, and you've got like it divided into quadrants. So like positive, 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 negative, 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 positive, negative, positive, right? So it's sort of that coordinate system. So this should put him in the bottom quadrant, so that way he can go to the right a good amount and he can go up a good amount. Now if I run this now, he's actually going to draw a line to that point. So he's going to start in the middle and draw diagonally down. I don't want him to do that. So I'm going to tell him to frank.pin up. And then once he gets to this position, then I want frank.pin down, right? And now we can start drawing the fractal. Alright, so right now I'm not going to do this the most efficient way. I'm just going to do it like line by line, and then later I can go in here and add some flow control and some loops and stuff. What we want is, let's say that we want Frank to go forward. We want Frank to go forward by, what did I say? I think 5. So 5, but like 5's really short, so I'm going to multiply everything by 100. So we'll just pretend that my unit is hundreds. So 500, and then we want Frank to go backward by half of that, so 500 divided by 2, and then we want Frank to turn left. Thank you, PyCharm, for catching my mistake. Frank to go left by 90 degrees. And then we want him to just repeat that over and over again, right? But each time subtracting 1 or 100, since that's sort of my unit of measurement for this. So this will be 400, and we can paste it again. And this will be 300, and we can paste it again. And this will be 200, and we can paste it again. And this will be 100. And we could try doing it again, but this would be 0 and 0, and you can't, so you can't, because you can't divide 0 by 2. So we'll just stop there, since that's how I was doing this. And of course, at the end, we need our turtle exit on click, so that way it actually lets us see what he's drawing and doesn't just get rid of it too fast. So if we run this, what did I just run? Oh, I accidentally typed forward on all of these. Alright. And I copied and pasted it backward. Well, I mean, I guess that could still be a fractal. It's just a spiral fractal and not a very interesting one. Anyway, we'll fix this. Alright. It's easier to program when you're not talking, I promise. There you go. So that's more or less what I drew. As I mentioned already, some of my approximations were a little bit off, but you get the idea. Alright, so now how do we make this into a more elegant program, right? So for this specific one, I wanted to do it while basically this number is above 100 because I'm subtracting it by 100 each time. So I need a while loop, obviously. So while, we're going to call it tert forward, tert4. We're going to call it tert4 is greater than 100, then do this stuff, right? And I don't need it to repeat the whole thing. I only need it to repeat this. As long as I use variables appropriately, I should be good. So I want to define tert. Let's define variables. I want tert4 to equal 500. And so as long as it's above, alright, we're good. This will be tert4. And this will be tert4. And now, of course, right now it's going to do this forever unless we put something in here to limit how many times it's going to do this. So it's important that we have some sort of condition that ends this loop. So at the end of this, we're going to say tert4 minus equals 100. So that should take the previous tert4 and make it equal to itself minus 100. Let's give it a try. Alright. Ta-da! Almost. So he didn't draw that last one. And that's because I have this set to 500, and this did it right up into 100, so that at that last moment it was actually equal to 100, so he didn't draw the last one. So I could make this greater than or equal to 100, or I could just make it also greater than 99. So let's run that and give it one more shot. Alright, there we go. So it worked. Now, I could do some other things with this as well if I wanted to. Maybe we make like tert angle. Let's just make some more variables just so we can very quickly play with things and see what happens. And I could also make maybe tert back equals, and I want this to be tert4 divided by 2, and tert angle is 90. So right now this should produce exactly the same thing that I already have once I plug these variables in. So tert back. Alright, let's make sure it works. Uh-oh. Oh goodness, what happened? That obviously is not what was supposed to happen, and I'm not sure what went wrong. So if this equals tert4 divided by 2, and that equals tert angle, let's just give this a shot and see what happens. That looks fine. Why is that working and the other one isn't? So what happened here was we made this turt back, and each time turt 4 is changing, but turt back is not changing again. Turt back is still at original 500 divided by 2 because there was nothing to update it. So if we want it to update this same thing actually needs to be in here. So this needs to have turt back is equal to turt 4 divided by 2. That way it keeps updating each time the loop happens. So let's give that a shot and see if I fixed it. Looks good. Perfect. Perfect. So that's what that issue was. Alright. So now we can change a few things. So let's say that we make turt 4 equal to, I don't know, maybe 700. And maybe this is divided by 3. Of course we have to divide that by 3 down there as well, so we can't just play in our variable defining area. Unless I make a variable for this, I could make a variable for that as well and plug it in down there. And I could play with this too. Maybe I don't want it to be 90, maybe I want it to be like 30 or something. And we can run this. Oh, well, I lost it. I didn't have him go back far enough? Oh, because it was only divided by 3. Let's have turt back equal turt 4 minus 100. And yeah, we'll give that a shot. There we go. That's more what I had in mind. So we have some sort of little weird bush tree thing going on. So you can play with this, you can try out different things and see what happens. Just always make sure that your loop is not forever and that there is some sort of limitation that will eventually cause it to stop, and that you know what you're changing. And you know, if something goes the way you're not expecting, that's okay. Just look at the code, tweak it, figure out what's going on, and we'll play with a few more things in the next video.